Hello, my name is Daniel, and in this tutorial I want to show you everything about UV unwrapping in Cinema 4D R23, and I thought we could UV unwrap this Lego minifigure together. And as you can see, this Lego minifigure consists of many meshes, and we want to UV unwrap them to one uniform UV layout. So the arm, legs, hands, torso and heads have all the same UV space, all the same UV scaling. Okay, let's disable subdivision surface for UV unwrapping. And first I want to focus on the head of my character here. So let's disable all the other meshes. And then we jump into the bodyplane's UV edit. Okay, wonderful. And now you can see the new UV layout here in Cinema 4D. And if we want to UV unwrap something, we have to select the object and then we have to think about our edges. How do we cut the edges to get some nice UV islands, some nice distortion-free UV islands? And if we talk about distortion, we want to jump into the modes UV settings here, and I always want to work with shading distortion on. Wonderful. Okay, let's select our first edges. So I jump into the edge mode here, and with my move tool selected, I can simply select some edges. With double click, you can get a nice loop selection, so you don't have to work with loop selection tool. You simply double click your edges and you have a nice loop selection. Okay, let's double click this one here, and now we can UV unwrap our first island. And as you can see, this object has no UV tag. So we want to work with UV unwrap settings here. And of course, first we want to take a look at the settings of this tool, and we make sure everything is selected. Then we hit OK, and you can see we have the first islands. And you will see this distortion here. And we want to focus on the white color. White color means perfect distortion-free UVs. Blue color means it's too big, and red color means it's too small. So we want to focus on white color. And here we have the head outer cylinder island, and we need one more cut to get this distortion free. So let's enable our leg so we can see which is the front, which is the back. So I want to select the back edge here to create another cut. And we can simply select this edge, and then we can select the other edge, but hit the Command and Shift key and then select this edge. And so you can select an edge path. So you don't have to work with the path selection for this. You simply select your first edge and then the other edge with Command Shift, and Cinema 4D creates a path selection for you. And then we can hit the UV unwrap button again, and now we have a nice UV island, but it's too bandy, and we want to focus on the UV rectangularization later. But first let's UV unwrap everything and then clean it up. So let's focus on the other islands, and I will create a new loop cut here. Just double click, another one here, just double click, another one here, and then an inner one, something like here. And let's focus on this one here. Okay, another one here and another one here. Nice. Let's hit the UV unwrap button again, and you can see we have an almost distortion-free UV unwrapping, but we have to cut our cylinders further. So let's create another cut here. Oops. Okay, and then another here. And of course, I want to have another cut for this cylinder here. And another cut for this one here. And then I hit the UV Unwrap button again. And now we have some new UV islands. But some parts of the UV islands, or some UV islands, are too bendy, and we want to paint a nice texture on it, and it's very difficult to paint a nice texture on this bendy island. So we have to focus on the UV Rectangularization. Let's select a UV island. So I simply jump into the polygons mode, double click the UV island, so I have a UV island selected, and here we have a new tool which is called UV Transform. And now you can work with UV island. You can move it along the UV space here, V space and U space, and of course you can rotate this island with the UV Transform tool, and of course you can scale this island, scale it uniformly, or with command you can simply scale it like this, only the points. So you can manually get it distortion free, but we want to focus on automatically distortion free UV islands. Okay, and the first thing you can do, you can select your island, and then you have the relax UV tools, and here you have a relax method which is called LSCM, and a relax method which is called ABF. ABF is more for organic parts, and LSCM is more for some hard surface mechanical parts. And if I hit the apply button, you will see it straightens the UV. It gets it more to a rectangular shape, but we have a better tool for this, and this is called a UV Rectangularization button. Just hit the button and you will see we have a very clean rectangular UV island. But it's too big, of course, and we have to focus on the UV packing. But we want to pack everything together. As we said, we want to have a uniform UV layout for all our meshes. So I will focus on UV packing later if we UV unwrapped everything. Okay, that's the head. Let's focus on the torso. Okay, let's disable the head and enable the torso, and of course I disable the leg. And let's select the torso, and the torso looks like a cubic shape, but it has some beveled polygon lines here, and we have also some triangle polygons. So I think we have to UV unwrap every part or every side for itself. So we have 6 islands here, one for top, back, for the sides, and front and back. Okay, let's jump into the edge mode here, and then simply create another loop selection, maybe something like this. Okay, and then another loop selection here, something like this. Okay, wonderful. And then with our path selection, as we know, we want to select with Shift this polygon, and then with Command Shift this polygon, and then we have a nice path selection. Wonderful. I think, yes, that's okay. Then this polygon and this one here. And of course, I want to select this one here, and this one here, and this one, and this one. And I think that's it. We hit the UV Unwrap button, and as you can see, we have nice distortion-free polygons. And as you can see, we have an island which is not perfectly aligned to the U and re coordinates, and if you want to align this polygon, you can simply select an edge, something like this, and then you can hit the Align UV Island button, and the UV island gets aligned to UV space. Okay, let's UV unwrap the hip. So I disable the torso, enable the hip again. And as you can see, the hip is a more complex mesh to UV unwrap. And it's always good to split these meshes into some different parts. And as you can see, we have this top part, which is more in cubic shape. Then we have the middle part, which is in cylinder, and the outer parts also some cylinders. So let's split the parts apart. So I create some new selections, something like this. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, let's hit the UV unwrap button, and as you can see, now we splitted this top part apart from the cylinders, and let's split the outer cylinders. And double click doesn't work here because of this polygon here, so I have to create some more double clicks to select all the edges here. Okay, double click. Okay, let's split them. Wonderful. And now let's focus on the top part here. We can create a loop selection, something like this here. Wonderful. Hit the UV unwrap button, and you will see it's almost distortion free. But we want to UV unwrap this part here further, so let's create another loop selection for this one, UV unwrap it, and then we have to UV unwrap the outer shell, and let's enable the leg again, so I see which is the front, which is the back, and for the back I will create some cuts here, maybe something like this, and of course some cuts here. Let's hit the UV unwrap button, and as you can see, it's almost distortion free, but we have to focus on the rectangularization of this part here. So let's select it and hit the UV rectangularization button. As you can see, this doesn't work because we have this curved shape here. So let's undo this one, and let's focus on the relax UV methods, and here we have the LSCM method, and I think this should work perfectly for this part. So let's hit the button, and as you can see, it's nice and clean, nice rectangular shape with the curves in it. Wonderful. Okay, let's disable the leg again and focus on the cylinder, and I think we can cut the cylinder here around this edge, and of course on the other side around this edge. So let's create some new edge selections here. Okay, wonderful. And we don't have to select this edge here. We can simply mirror the selection with our new mirror selection tool. Let's take a look at the settings by hitting this cogwheel here, and there we have a mirror plane. We have to focus on the mirror plane. Let's cancel this so I can show you the world's coordinates axis, and let's jump into the settings, and here we have the mirror plane CY, that's the right plane, and we want to add this selection. So we have selected the left side, and we want to add the selection to the left side selection. Wonderful, everything is perfectly, so we hit the OK button, and as you can see, now we have selected also the other side, and of course this will always work if your object is symmetrical. of course. Okay, let's hit the UV Unwrap button again, and now you can see we have nice UV unwrapped cylinders. Wonderful. Nice and distortion free. Everything is right. Wonderful. Nice. Okay, let's UV unwrap this one here. So let's create a loop path for this one. Hit our mirror selection. So I select the other side, hit the UV unwrap button. Wonderful. And let's cut the cylinders here. Hit the mirror selection. So we select the other side, UV unwrap. Wonderful. Nice and clean. And now we have to focus on this thing. This is more complex. Okay, and for this complex part, I want to create first the cap shell out. And if I zoom in, you will see we have this clipping here. So I simply jump into the project mode, and view clipping is tiny now. Okay, now I can zoom in further, and to cut this out, I simply create a loop around this one here. Maybe something like this. Okay. Okay, it's looking nice. Let's jump into the mesh. As you can see, it's not modeled perfectly. So we have to figure out which edge we have to select. Okay, nice. Wonderful. Okay, now I want to create some cuts here and some cuts here. Okay, and we can mirror the selection, so we don't have to do it on the other side. So let's hit the mirror selection. Nice, and then we hit the UV unwrap button again. Okay, and now we have this cylinder here and this cylinder here, and for this cylinder we have to create some cuts, maybe something like this. Okay, I think this should work. Let's hit the UV unwrap button. Okay, it's nice and distortion free. So let's undo this, mirror the selection, and then hit the UV unwrap button. And I think that's it. We've UV unwrapped the hip. And of course, later we have to focus on the on cleaning up the parts a little bit better if we UV unwrapped everything. So let's disable the hip and enable the leg. And first of all, I want to cut out the outer parts of the leg. So I want to create a loop selection for the holes here, something like this. And then maybe something like this. And then we have this hole here, so we can cut it out. And maybe this is a cylinder, so we can select this one here, and for this one I want to enable my loop selection tool, so I can select this inner loop, and then I want to cut out the side here, something like this, and I want to select the lower part here, and then we want to create another loop selection for this one here. And maybe we want to cut out this one here. Something like this. Okay. It's nice. And let's UV unwrap this. Okay. We have some nice shells, but this outer shell has some problems because we need to create another cut here for this one. So I create a path selection. Okay, it's nice. UV unwrap it. Wonderful. It's nice and clean, and maybe this shell is a little bit too big, so I want to create some cuts here. This one and maybe this one. Okay, nice. Select it, and now we have two shells. Okay, wonderful. We have this side shell, this lower shell, and then this outer shell. Okay, wonderful. And let's take a look at the inner shells. So maybe we can select this cylinder here. Okay, we unwrap it. Nice. And then we want to create a cut here for this one. Okay, nice and clean. And then we have this inner shell here. So maybe I cut this one out. Oops. Maybe something like this, and then oops. Something like this. Okay. It's looking nice. Okay, wonderful. And then we need to create some cuts for this shell here, and maybe this one here and this one here. Okay, it's looking nice. Nice and clean, only white color, no distortion. Wonderful. So now we have the outer parts and this inner part. Let's focus on this here. I think this could become a little bit more difficult, but let's focus on this cylinder here. Easy. Let's create a cut here. Okay, we unwrap it. Nice. Okay, and for this one here, maybe I want to select this outer part. Maybe I cut this out. Okay. Oops. Okay. Let's see, we unwrap it. Okay, nice. And let's focus on this inner part here. So maybe we can create a selection like this. Okay, here we unwrap it. Nice, and maybe we have to cut it. And of course you can also select your edges here in the texture UV editor. Also no problem. Okay, and maybe I create another cut here. Okay, nice. Now we have to cut this inner shell here. So let's take a look. Maybe we create some cuts here. And maybe some cuts here. Okay, let's take a look. If we select a shell and hit the LSCM button. Okay, maybe we have to cut the edges, something like this. Okay, whoops. Okay, I think it's okay for the inner part. Wonderful. And we want to align this one here with our Align UV Islands tool. Okay. Wonderful. And let's select this shell here, hit the LSCM relax method, and then this one here, LSCM relax method, and so on. So we have nice UV islands. For this one, we can try the UV Rectangularizer. Okay, wonderful. It's nice and clean. And of course for this one also. Oh, no. For this one, we want to enable our Relax UV LSCM method again. And then this one needs to be aligned a little bit more. Okay, wonderful. Nice and clean. And we will clean it up later if we UV unwrapped everything. But I think for the leg now it's nice and clean. Maybe we have to take a look at this shell here. Maybe this needs a cut here. So, okay. Okay, this doesn't work. So let's undo everything. And let's take a closer look. Okay, it's something inside. So, okay, no, it's something here. So let's create a cut here. Okay, nice. Wonderful. Okay, let's disable the leg and enable the arm and take a closer look to the arm. And here I want to have one big shell for the outer side, and I want to cut out the cylinders and the sphere and maybe this part here. Okay, let's select the arm and jump into the edge mode, and then we create some loop selections. Maybe some here and maybe one here, maybe one here. Okay, wonderful. And then for this one here, jump into my loop selection tool and maybe I select this one here. Okay, let's UV unwrap the arm, and as you can see, we have some nice UV islands. And maybe I want to create a cut here for this one here. Okay, wonderful. And as you can see, we have the sphere here and it has some distortion, but it's inside and doesn't need some crazy texture. So I think it's fine for this one, but you can also cut it maybe something like this. and then it's almost distortion free. I think that's okay. Wonderful. And then we can cut out this side here. So let's create some path selections for this one. Nice. Okay, let's cut it out. Okay, and as you can see, now we have some nice UV islands for our arm, but here we have some distortion for this shell, so I think we need another cut here. Okay, I think that's okay. Yeah, maybe we can create a cut here. Or we don't need this cut. So you can simply stitch this together by selecting the edges, and then we have a tool which is called UV Weld. So select the edges and then hit the UV Weld button and it welds this together. Okay, hit the UV Unwrap button again and I think it's nice. Some distortion is okay for the arm. Yeah. So that's the arm. Okay, let's select the hand and take a closer look. We jump into the Adds mode and then we want to cut out the cylinder here, and I think we cut out the upper shell and then maybe the lower shell and then inner shells and outer shells. Okay, let's create a loop selection for this one here. Okay, it's nice. Maybe we can hit the UV Unwrap button. Okay, wonderful. And then I want to create a loop selection for this cylinder here. Hit the UV Unwrap button, and then of course we need some cuts for the cylinder. Something like this and something like this. UV Unwrap, and maybe we have some distortion here, so we can create some cuts like this and this one here, and UV Unwrap it. And now it's almost distortion free. Wonderful. Let's cut out this shell here, this upper shell part. UV Unwrap it, and then maybe I want to cut out this lower shell here. Okay. Maybe I want this one here. Okay, that's wrong. Okay, nice. And then we want to create a cut here. Okay, nice. And now we have this one here, and maybe we can create a cut here and another cut here. And I think that's it. Now we UV unwrapped the hand. It's almost distortion free. I think a little bit of distortion is okay for this one. And now we are finished with UV unwrapping. Okay, let's enable all the meshes again. And as you can see, now here is our character. And as you can see, we have some parts without an UV tag. And that's our mirrored part. So we can simply select the mirrored leg here, the UV tag of the mirrored leg left, and copy it to the leg right. And as you can see, if I select the leg right, that's the same UV unwrapping. And I will do that also with the arm left and also with the hand right. Okay, nice. Let's select all the UV tags, and then we can pack everything together to a uniform UV layout. So let's jump into the UV packing tab here, and here we have the geometric method. I want to work with this one. We want to enable texture space, and here we have the target resolution for your texture. So if you have a 2K texture or a 4K texture, in this case, you will put in your resolution size. Then we have the gap size. This is the gap between the different islands. We want to preserve the orientation of our islands. We don't want to stretch them to fit. And we want to have equalize island size, so we have the same scaling for all our different islands. And we have the option to overlap identical islands. So if you have 100 cylinders in one object or in one UV layout, and you know all the cylinders have the same texturing, and you don't want to texture them all by itself, you can create some overlapping islands for the 100 cylinders maybe. Then we have the overlap mirrored islands. This is maybe here in this case interesting for the leg, the arms and the hands. So if you know, okay, this arm gets the same texture like this arm, you can also create some overlapping mirrored islands. But in this case, I don't want to have overlapping islands. I think for good UV layouts, you don't want to have overlapping islands, so you can texture everything by itself and differently from the other side. Okay, let's hit the apply button, and Cinema 4D does its UV packing thing. And as you can see, now we laid out everything uniformly, and we have some uniform UV layout here, but we can optimize this map a little bit. So let's jump into the UV settings mode, and here we have filled polygons. So if you select an island, in this case we don't have a flipped island, but if you select an island, maybe your torso island, and mirror this island, so mirror you will see this island has a blue color, and you don't want to have this blue color. This means this island is flipped, so it's the wrong side. So you want to make sure you don't have blue colored islands in your UV layout. So let's jump into the head layout and take a closer look to the different islands, and maybe we want to rectangularize the different islands. I think this is okay for this one, and this one is also clean, and we make sure everything is aligned properly. So let's select this one here and hit the align button. Okay, wonderful. Then let's take a closer look to the hip islands, and as you can see, now we have this one here, and we said we want to relax it with the LSCM method. Wonderful. Maybe we can try it with this one here. Okay, maybe the Rectangularizer is better for this one, and maybe we can try it for this one. Okay, nice. And I want to align this one here, and I want to align this one here. Okay, I think it's okay for this one. Then we have the leg. So you can select this one here and hit the LSCM method for the different islands. And we have this part here. And I think we align this one like this, and we take a closer look to this one. Maybe I think we could select this edge here and then select this edge here and UV unwrap it again. Yeah, nice. Okay, hit the LSCM button and then align this one. And maybe I move it to the side. Then we want to align this one here. Okay, nice. That's the leg left. Let's delete the UV tag for the leg right and copy the leg left UV tag to the leg right, and we have the same UV unwrapping. So we don't have to optimize the leg right again. Then we have the arm. Let's take a closer look to this one, and maybe we can try the LSCM method for this, or the UV Rectangularize. Okay, yes, this is looking nice. It's nice, 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 wonderful. And maybe we align this one a little bit, something like this. Okay. And we want to align this one also. Okay. Let's delete it for the arm left and copy the arm right to the arm left and take a closer look to the hand right. And I think, yes, it's okay. Maybe we can try the UV Rectangularize for this one. Okay, it doesn't work. Try the LSCM, and I think it's okay. And now we align this a little bit better. Okay, nice. Let's delete the hand left and copy the hand right UV tag to the hand left and select them all and perform a UV packing again. So same settings, hit apply. Wonderful. And maybe we can align this one here. I think it's the head, yes. So let's align this one. Something like this. Okay. That's our final UV layout for our character. You have one nice uniform layout with equalized scaling for the islands. And let's jump into our startup layout. And here I've created a new material with an UV texture, and we can simply apply this UV texture to our Lego minifigure. And as you can see, now we have some nice UV mapping. And of course, you can maybe scale this texture to 5 by 5. As you can see, It's very nice. Make sure your subdivision surface has the right edge interpolation or the right Subdivide UV interpolation. And here for this one I choose edge, but you can also try boundary. Maybe you disable the selected wireframes. Here in Cinema 4D R23 we want to jump into the preferences and then viewport display, disable selected wireframes. So now if you select the different Subdivide UVs modes, you can see what happens. I think the edge mode is in this case better for this one. Okay, that's UV unwrapping in Cinema 4D R23. Thanks for watching this tutorial. See you soon and goodbye.